Let's give them something to talk about. I see the energy running out. I got a planet to run around. Okay, okay. You ain't do nothing but run your mouth. No, I don't want to be humble now.
We nailed that one. We're running late though this morning. And since it's Yvonne here, it's my fault. It's my fault.
I was just gonna say it's okay. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah. No,
Thank you for having me.
We've been waiting for a while. just make this originally official.
Yeah, we had to make it official. This is we're starting a little bit late. Sorry about that, but should be a good discussion this morning. We got a lot to talk about. We wanted to get Yvonne on sooner. She didn't want to come on until it was official that she'd qualified for the games, which is, she's a little bit superstitious.
I'm with her on that. I don't blame her on that.
All right. And actually, given what's happened in the past with the CrossFit Games and their scoring systems and their penalties and their assessments
and just how they're actually working their scoring in general with the 50-pointers.
Right. And how they change their scoring, it was probably the most prudent thing to do to wait until it was officially announced, till she got the email. And Yvonne doesn't actually, to her credit, she doesn't believe that she's going to the games until she gets an actual invitation. It won't, well, she doesn't post anyway.
Yeah.
On Instagram. She'll post a little bit. She'll post the dogs on Facebook, but that's about it. She did post, you did post.
I did in the members group.
I saw you post in the members group, which was nice.
Because last year, I was training for the games and running, and Fernando goes, "Are you training for something?" I go, "Yeah, I'm going to the CrossFit Games." So I wanted all my members to know why I'm training so hard.
There's a real purpose behind this.
She's actually had a couple of those funny comments like that where members have said,
"Man, you're really fit. What are you training for?
What are you training for?" And Yvonne is very humble. She won't, unlike me, who will often in class point to the picture or point to my jersey.
Surprised you haven't walked in with your medal yet.
It's nice to have the jerseys up on the wall, because I'm just like, when they leave comments on Sugar Wad about coaches, how good coaches are that have filled in for me in my class, like Austin did last week. Austin filled in for me in class. And then that day, Brian George put a 10-sentence glamorous praise for Austin and his skill sets, which I didn't take personal at all.
Not at all.
No.
Couldn't tell.
I talked
just
about
bringing it up live. On the
I talked about it in every single class this morning.
Oh, great.
And then that's when I point to the wall. In the jersey that's on the wall.
It's been proven
to harken back to my past. But before we get started, though, I want to talk about the team. So this will be fun to talk to Yvonne today. It really is helpful to get some insight, because what masters do to qualify for the games now is exemplified by what Yvonne does, and I think it's if you will, and we'll ask her if she thinks the other athletes are doing the same, but I think they are, because I look at the guys that I used to compete against that are still competing, at the top level, and the stuff that they're doing is unbelievable as a master's athlete to get to the game. So we'll talk about that a little bit and what Yvonne's thoughts are on that. And then, but before we do that, I wanted to talk about the teen competition we had yesterday, which is the opposite end of the spectrum. So we got the old people we'll talk about at the end. We'll talk about the young people first.
Young bucks.
So PRsAllDay, Jamie Lee and Coach Corey. Coach Corey coaches our teen program here, and I think Coach Corey started it.
Yeah.
He wanted to do a teen competition, right?
Yeah, he called it the teen trials out of the gate.
Yeah. And so we decided to do it. And the reason why we decided to do it as an affiliate, and Jamie and I have kind of sworn off comps, although Jamie's kind of been pushing to do a comp.
I've been hungry. I mean, there was a little bit of PTSD getting into it, and just kind of in the lead up to it, just because it's like we've been out of the game for so long. When we stopped doing the comps, as soon as CrossFit went to the super regional, remember?
Yeah.
Because at that point, it was like, how many people are actually still going to want to compete? Because most people that were doing those competitions
Oh
were
yeah,
were striving for a regional,
right.
appearance.
They had a place to go to.
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
compete
I mean, there
at.
was 20 people or 40 people in the Northern California region. And
Right.
then once they made it a full California region, it's like we saw a massive dip in just the general,
right.
average Joes or Deuces Wild type events.
And Northern California too, though.
Yeah.
We've been the affiliates here have been around longer.
Yeah.
And we had our heyday with competitions back in like 2010, 2011, 12, 13, 14, where there was a comp every weekend.
Yeah.
Somewhere there was a competition going.
And it was like, well, I'm doing this event. Oh, well, what are you doing this weekend? It's like
And-
there's like 4 different events going on.
In Diablo, at one point, we hosted 4 competitions a year.
Was that it?
Yeah. What do you mean? Was that it?
I feel like there was like 5 or 6.
Yo, that felt like 10.
Well, we did also participate with DFE, right?
Like Diablo Fitness Engineering.
Yeah,
at
so
other
maybe
events.
we weren't hosting them, but we
Right.
were definitely a part of a lot of other
we were
ones.
providing the equipment. So we had an equipment company for a short period of time.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother podcast episode. That's actually like a mini series that we'll need to do on that one. Speaking of PTSD. But anyway, we did those comps, and those comps, especially when they're here at our gym, are cumbersome. Because they affect our business and positive and negatively. But on the negative side, they use the entire gym, they use all the equipment,
facilities,
and the bathrooms, and
Cancel classes.
and then we have to
That's what we hate.
that's the big thing is we have to cancel classes for our members, so our members get put out. So it's a lot of work, a lot of effort. So I was apprehensive, but Corey and Jamie convinced me convinced Yvonne and I to do the teen trials. Because Jamie knows how to streamline a competition down to start and finish within, I think 4 hours is about 4.5 hours on this one.
We finished the podium at 2:00.
At 2:00, and we started the competition. Well,
9:30.
9:30.
Briefing
started.
was at 9:30.
Briefing, yeah.
Event started at 10.
Yeah. So we did.
Actually, we started a little bit early because the briefing went through fast.
Right, but Diablo had classes at 6, 7, and 8 a.m. So we were able to accommodate about 70, 75 members. In the morning workouts, and then a lot of them stayed around to help judge.
Oh man, the amount of
volunteer.
volunteers. I mean, huge thanks everybody. If everybody's listening today, it's massive appreciative to your efforts and hanging out and being a part of that.
So the primary reason why we agreed to it is because there has been, even with the competitions that were held in past years, almost nothing for teens in Northern California.
Nothing.
Very, very few opportunities for teens. And here's the thing that bothers me is, and why I want to do it and help promote the sport and encourage other affiliates to do the same, is in the Bay Area where CrossFit got started, Santa Cruz and into the Bay Area. There are no teens that are at the CrossFit Games, and I don't know if they were last year. I know they weren't.
No, I don't think so.
And this year we don't. We have someone from Northern California, but he's in Turlock, a kid from Turlock, and he's apparently second in his age group, the 16-17 age group.
He was. I think I was talking with his mom.
You were. His mom was. His mom was there.
I think they'll be out next year.
Yeah. So it is if. And all of the athletes are coming from either other countries or, Midwest, East Coast. And granted, California has a lot of competitive sports. We have good weather year round, so these kids can do it. Swimming is what the East Coast doesn't have swimming. And swimming is as much swimming like we do here in all the community swim teams. And swimming takes a lot of the kids away from CrossFit as well.
Yeah.
But in order for us to produce athletes at the highest caliber, you've got to have local competitions.
It's like a farming option. Right?
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And I might even argue that might be the reason why we don't have as many Northern California athletes participating at the games.
When you put it that way, it makes absolute sense.
Right. So PRsAllDay, progressive programming, is now they've got the teen trials, and we're going to make it the premier Northern California teen event. And we're talking about maybe doing multiple teen events. And we'd encourage other affiliates to look at, and, starting something with your kids, at least, or your members' kids.
Just creating a program within
Just creating a program within your gym where they're coming in 3 days a week. And then maybe 5 days a week. And
Didn't we have to reschedule this? It wasn't originally like it's always
we rescheduled
due to swim team
a couple
schedule.
times.
we did.
So the original time that because it was scheduled for December 3rd last year.
Yeah, that's right.
And I kind of made the game time decision to push it back to January, which then ended up not working because of a lot of kids had like other engagements and sporting events. So we pushed it back again to be post age group qualifier.
Right.
The original time we moved it back was because CrossFit decided within like 2 weeks before the actual event to put out that Spartan race, and it was free.
That's right. That's right.
And
it was free.
It was free to affiliates, and at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, this is kind of sucks, but at the same time, also wanted to kind of push people to go and do the Spartan event. You know, I didn't want to compete against CrossFit's partnership that they're building with Spartan race.
Yeah,
and I thought that would be a really cool experience. We're not taking away an event. I mean, because there's already an event going on.
Right. And some teens were going to do that Spartan event.
Yeah, actually a lot of teens did. And I got a lot of feedback from the parents saying like, hey, yeah, this is great. You know, now I have like 4 other kids that we were going to watch and spectate, and now they can all participate in something. So I was like, okay, well then, but pushing it, but it just wasn't ideal.
Here's a cool thing that we did too, that Corey, I want to say but Corey and Jamie Lee did, was we matched the age groups for the CrossFit Games, which is 16, 17,
15, 14, 15.
We have 14, 15, and then did we do 16 and above?
16, 17.
Yeah, 16, 17. That's right.
We followed the age groups essentially.
And then what we did is we also included another age group, which was 11 up. 11 to 13.
Yeah, the preteen division.
The preteen division. And we'll continue to do that. Now, it won't be that will be exhibition the next time we do it.
Correct.
Because of CrossFit's limitations with respect to liability and kids. But those kids were outstanding. And so Corey brought his kids in because a lot of his kids are under age 14
12 and stuff. Yeah.
And they came in and competed. And so we've got about 20 kids in that age group in our teen class coming 3-4 times a week, and they came in and did the competition, and there were a number of them there that really didn't want to do it. And Corey had really sold them on doing it. Their parents had to sell them on doing it. They were reluctant, but when they saw their other friends there, they got a little bit excited about it. And they had to do 4 total workouts.
4 events.
4 events. Now, these kids will come in and they'll do a Metcon, they'll do a lift and a short Metcon. Like our CrossFit class for kids is focused mostly on the strength side of it. And then although Corey, though, he's starting to increase the amount of endurance. And they came in and did 4 events. And one of them included a barbell ladder, which is intimidating. We had an endurance event where they had to run and row and then bike. But the way that Jamie Lee and PRsAllDay set this up was made it more of a fun, really fun event for the viewers and for the parents and the fans
and the kids.
Well, right, but the kids too. So just to describe the first event, so the people that are listening can understand the first event. They started out on the rower. How far did they row?
600 for the ladies, for the girls, and then 700 for the boys.
And then they got off and they ran an
800-ish,
800 meter-ish run. And this is out front. We did the rowers and the run out front. Then they came in and their judges, screaming and yelling and running in. They come in and they jumped on the C2 bikes. And how far did they have to go on the C2 bikes?
So it was a 13-minute AMRAP. So they had to complete as many calories as possible. So
as calories as possible on the bike.
So once they got to the bike, it was the remaining time, which is roughly around like 5 to 6 minutes for most of them, to max out their calories. And the best part about that was the fact that they had to get off every 10 to 15 calories to progress a box forward. Just like at the games, when you finish a round, you move the chest piece forward so you can kind of see who's in the lead.
Right.
And that was really cool because you could see the races kind of going back and forth between some of them.
Yeah. So the fans and all of the bikes were in a line. So we had, I think
there was 14
bikes out there, and these kids all came in, and they came in at different times. I think there's some pretty big margins of difference when they got to the bikes. And I thought, oh no, we're going to have kind of a blowout. And then it turned into a race with everybody. And so the kids that were slow on the run came in and hammered the bike.
Nice.
I'm thinking of Eleanor in particular. who,
She came out hot too.
Yes.
On the run though.
She's
She's an athlete.
yeah, and she caught up to everybody. She smashed that bike. She beat the boys.
Yep.
She beat the people in the later heats.
Yep.
She was finished with the
With like
100
left,
calories.
yeah.
She did 100 calories with about 45 seconds left.
Yeah.
And it was just exciting to watch. And the kids got into it too. They realized what was happening. They didn't I don't think they understood what was going to happen until they got on the bike and they made their first flip of the box. And then they look, and you see them looking at all the other boxes, and they realize, oh, I want to move my box faster than the other kids.
I think that was probably the best start of an event, like the best event to start with, because it kind of set the example for what's to come going forward.
It was so fun. That was so fun. The ladder was fun as well. And then the last event was, okay, these kids, they've done way more than they've ever done, with the exception of a few of the competitors. But physically, CrossFit, they've done way more than they've ever done before.
Overall volume and whatnot.
And I literally was thinking, because I was there helping and doing the music and the timer, I'm thinking, this is too much for these kids. I literally was thinking, there's no way they're going to want to do it, because I knew there were some kids reluctant to be there. There's no way they're going to want to do it.
Yeah.
And it starts out with an assault bike. How many calories on the assault bike?
21-18.
Yeah, 21 for the men, 18 for the ladies. And then it went to a walking lunge, dumbbell walking lunge, 50 feet, farmer carry lunge. And then they had to pick up a med ball and run about 100 meters.
Yeah, a little loop.
Carrying the med ball and sprint in. And if you've done a Metcon sprint, you guys know what it's like, especially if you start with the assault bike. And
not just assault bike, but assault bike into a walking lunge.
Yeah. And they hammered those bikes.
It was awesome.
Last workout. I'm waiting for an email today from some of the parents.
Don't say that. Don't even go there.
My kid couldn't get out of bed on Sunday. Unfortunately,
Mother's Day was shot.
Oh yeah, Mother's Day was shot. Oh my God! But they were hammering even the kids that didn't want to be there. That like I knew where for the team, just hammering it, and it was so fun to watch. And the parents, because the parents again, that was another visual one where you could see who was coming in first with that med ball run, and you could see who got off the bike first to get into the lunges.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really fun event. Very, very rewarding on my end, just to watch it and see the kids have fun with it. That was the whole point.
I'm gonna put a little plug in here for progressive program PRsAllDay, and I'd say DM Jamie Lee if you've got a comp or a teen comp that you want to program for, reach out, and because that was beautifully executed.
Happy to help.
Yeah. Then let's go to the other end of the spectrum, to the old people, and talk about Yvonne and the games.
The tip of the spear.
Yeah, the tip of the spear. At this end, and so congratulations, Yvonne.
Thank you.
Qualifying. This was. Did you think it was? We'll start with like an open-ended question. Did you think it was going to be as close as it was for you to qualify, knowing that you've already been to the games? You went to the games last year, qualified with the same group of ladies, pretty much the same group of ladies. Did you think it would be as hard and as close as it was for you?
I knew it was going to be hard for me because it's in my second year in my age group, and I've usually been like 11th to 19th. So I knew I had to perform better than I've ever had in my second year. And I kind of knew it was going to be close because my weakness is handstand walks and handstand holds. And I knew I wasn't going to do well on that workout. And I knew I had to smash the other workouts.
Which you did. And when you look at the leaderboard, and you had one workout finished outside of the top 10, and it was the handstand hold.
Yes.
But when you look at the handstand hold, everybody's got like 3, 5, 8 second, like that. I don't know. That was kind of a miss on Boz's side.
Yeah. So one of the specialty workouts was how long it was at the end of a Metcon. Then she had to go into a handstand hold in a 4-foot box. and hold as long as you can. And so what Jamie's pointing out is that the longest someone held was 28 seconds, but that was a large gap. No one else held even close to her.
No.
Who was that athlete? Who's the number one?
That was Cheryl Boyd.
Oh, yeah,
that
Cheryl
hit
Boyd.
28 seconds.
Everybody else was in a very tight range.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that workout was half of,
It was a 50% point range. Yeah.
50 point range. But still, that was an interesting one.
Yeah, I think, I mean, if Boz happens to be listening or anybody can get something to him, that should have been just on a wall, right? Could you imagine like having to do a handstand hold max? That would have been a much better test of like general stamina and being upside down in that position.
Oh yeah.
So future reference.
What Yvonne was referencing is something that masters know about competing in the games. It's 5-year age groups. So you start at say 35 and then you have all the way up until the end of your 39th year. All the masters know, every masters knows that the first 2 years are kind of like your good years. And it's really remarkable because the people that come in, we call them the babies of the age, the babies of the age group,
the young bucks.
Yeah. The ones that age up. That's your year.
Right.
My best years were when I was, when I aged up into the new age group, and then you kind of slowly fade. And so, and Yvonne is a classic example of that. The years she goes to the games, there was usually back to back of the first 2 or first 3 years of the games. And so she knows the first year is like probably her best year in terms of like confidence. And then the second year, you're like, okay, there's new people aging into the group. I got new people coming in. And then what's interesting is then you have people on the back end aging out, right? So you lose some of the veterans, and then you got new people coming in, and it's an interesting dynamic. You wouldn't think within 5 years that there'd be that big of a difference, which is fascinating to think about. The like 19 to 30 years old, like Alessandra, thinking about that, because Yvonne, you notice a difference from year to year in terms of your performance, right? Do you think you're better? Do you think 2023 Yvonne can beat 2022 Yvonne?
I feel like I'm healthier this year than I was last year because I was so sick last year, but I was really super light last year. I went from 125 to 110 having COVID. And I think all the gymnastics things were just easier for me. And this year it's a little bit harder. So I think it's about the same. Are
you stronger than you were last year?
Though? I'm stronger. A little bit stronger. I'm just keeping my strength. I don't think I'm getting stronger. As you get older, I feel like you're trying to hold on to maintain that strength.
As an outsider, I feel like, Jamie, that she's doing more volume than she did last year. Is that the truth? Jamie, by the way, Jamie Lee does her programming 2 years in a row.
Yeah. I would,
5 years.
Oh, sorry. 5 years. Yeah. Stay
5
close.
years.
Stay close.
Okay. All right.
I would definitely say that, I mean, even last year, right? Like you were hitting all-time PRs.
Yes, I was.
Right? Like even at the games with the front squat.
Yes.
Was a PR.
Right.
So like even at 60, you're still making gains in strength and whatnot. And this year was more a matter of continuing.
So was that a lifetime PR, that front squat at the games?
So it was.
Wow.
That's huge.
And winning an event was total PR for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you had the event win.
That's right.
Yeah, no, this year it was definitely a matter of just kind of getting those strength numbers continuing to go up, but also being able to perform at, that intensity, that level of, weight for volume, not just like for a maximum rep, but being able to continue to do that.
Yvonne, if you can talk about your, first of all, on 2 levels, because there's going to be a lot of information, but I think it's super valuable for people to hear and people to understand. Masters understand, and even affiliate owners to understand about their masters athletes, and then masters athletes that are going to the games. Talk about your typical week, because Yvonne, I'll tell you this, just being married to her for 30, get it right,
32
years. Yvonne is very detailed oriented. She writes everything down. Every one of her workouts are written down. She's an ideal client for a coach, because if the coach says it's got to be done, she will do it, even if she's in the garage doing it at night. But can you talk about your typical plan for the week? Kind of give an outline of the training days, the rest days, and then what you do on your rest days too.
Before I used Jamie's programming, I used to work out 6 days a week. And 2 of those days were Olympic lifting with no Metcon, and then 4 days were CrossFit. And so Jamie convinced me to do 5 days a week with 2 days rest, which is way better.
Yeah.
To having 2 recovery days as you get older, I think is huge. Typically, this time of the year, since I'm heading into the games, I'm going to be training 5 days a week. Some of those days will be double days, running and swimming. And then what I'll do is I'll work out. I don't like working out too early in the morning, because when I wake up, I do some mobility, and then I head to the gym, and I'll train I say I train, but I mostly nerve floss and mobilize and stretch. It's so much more prepping now that I'm older, and I feel like it's about an hour of like real work. So I'm here 2 to 3 hours, an hour of real work, and then I'll go home, or I'll work and I'll eat, maybe lay down, and then I'll come back, and then I'll have to do another warm up, not so much mobility, and then maybe another Metcon. Those are my double days.
And then on your off days, what do you do on your rest days? And are you 3 on 1 off? 3 on 1 off?
She's 3 on 1 off, 2 on, depending on the phase of the year. Like right now, we're going back to a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with a Friday off, and then Saturday, Sunday. Just 'cause we're going to be putting in a lot more volume on the weekends, and just to make sure that's just a 2-day and we don't overreach.
Right.
Especially with the master's crew, because it's always good time to train with others.
Right. Because if I do 3 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on, then I'll miss the master's class.
Yeah.
So I try to always make Sunday my day that I'm competing with younger masters. And that's when I try to go a little bit harder on my workouts.
Yeah. And then especially with the rest day to follow that.
Okay.
On Monday.
So it's with the masters, it's usually my 3rd day of training, and I like that.
What about the getting ART, massage, that stuff?
All the body work.
Yeah, body work stuff. Tell me about that.
So I do a lot of mobility myself. Not a nerve flossing. I have sciatica. So I have to nerve floss my sciatica nerve, and I have a little bit of like an impingement in my neck. I have to nerve floss, but I see Dr. Mori every Wednesday, and she spends about an hour on me, not just herself, but her and her team. They do cupping and scraping and flossing, and she adjusts my back and my neck. And then I try to do acupuncture and massage once a month, but I've noticed that I've benefited a lot from the massage, and I've been booking it like every other week now.
Wow. Okay.
Dale King asks real quick, what are your current numbers on your lifts?
Current what?
That. Your current lifts. So question from the Portsmouth.
Now Dale is, by the way, Dale King. Dale King. For those of you who don't know, he owns an affiliate in Portsmouth, Ohio, which is ground zero for the opioid epidemic, and he also owns Doc Spartan, which is our primary sponsor here on our podcast. And he's good. He's a very good friend of mine. Cool dude. So he wants to know your lifts.
Oh, my lifts?
Yeah. Like think of like your deadlift.
What are your totals?
Squat.
Oh, my total?
Yeah.
Oh, what my total? Well, look at my record for last year in the qualifier.
I was say last year.
Deadlift?
I think it was 245 was my max deadlift, and that was actually I think that was a max for me.
That was an all-time PR.
It's an all-time PR. And then my weakness, of course, is back squat because of my sciatica, but I think I got 185. Mm-hmm. And then on my strict press, I got no rep twice by Jamie because my heel came off the ground. And I think I made my second lift. I can't remember what it was.
It was your second lift.
Yeah.
I can't remember
my second. It was maybe 80. I'm not
And
sure.
what's your max snatch and max clean and jerk?
My max squat snatch is 95, and I can hit 133 right now, but my all-time high in my clean and jerk, we had an open workout where we had to do a Metcon, and we had to do a max clean and jerk, and I hit 145
After
a Metcon.
Yeah. And your max
So,
clean is that your
135.
135?
Well, in the max clean, what did I get just now? In the
That was
in the qualifier, I think I got 147.
Yeah,
yes,
147.
yes, just for the
147.
clean. Yeah, power clean too, right?
And my thing is, I know when I get towards the end of a max, I can only go up 2.5 pounds, and I got greedy, and I think I went up 5,
yeah,
and I deserve that. I know that about myself.
Yeah, that so
he just said you motivated the shit out of everybody watching. Which is true. You know, that was one of the things I remember last year when we get together before, like, even training through the season, was one of your goals was hitting a deadlift PR.
Yeah,
That was a great way to end that out or hit that off.
I think a lot of people too will say, well, that's cool, you know, because as an affiliate owner, she gets to train full time. And I guess the thing I want to make sure everybody knows about Yvonne, she is type A. She also has a full-time job doing the bookkeeping, finance, and she manages our front desk staff and the pro shop and all the inventory that comes in. And at Diablo, with the traffic that we have, you know, we have 150 people that come in here a day. That's a monumental task. She has, on one of her off days, she does the books and all the finances. I stay clear on that day. And then, so she's got that. And then we have a daughter. She's now a 19-year-old daughter who we've coddled, over coddled ridiculously, so that we end up having to do a lot to keep her going.
Well, having to go through, like, with the homeschool, that's a lot.
Yeah,
That's
and
another job in itself,
homeschooling,
right?
and all of that. But our daughter's amazing, but we do spoil the hell out of her. And so Yvonne takes care of her as well. And then she cooks for the family.
She makes sure you're fed too, right?
Yes, but at this point, I should say that I do take care of the dogs and walk the dogs.
What did she do this morning?
She had
He walks the dogs. I pick up the poop.
So you get the exercise benefit. She gets to clean it up. Good
then
job.
Sundays is this is the thing on Sundays. So Sundays is a great example. So just to give you an idea of what Yvonne's like. So on Sundays, we get up and we come here for the Masters class, the Masters RX Plus class, and I coach that class, and I do the class. I kind of it's more of a throwdown than it is an actual class. And then we go to breakfast afterwards, and then I go home and take a nap.
And I clean house.
Yvonne puts the belt on, cleans house, changes seats on the beds, and then half the time I'll say to Alana, my daughter, "Where's mom?" And she'll go, "She's out back." I look out back, and she's up, like, doing landscaping up in the backyard on Sunday.
This is extra volume I should know about.
Oh yeah, dude, I can tell you right now. But related to all of this, how's your sleep, and how important is your sleep to you?
Well,
question.
since I've been wearing a Whoop, it tells me all the time I don't sleep enough, and I'm literally I feel like I'm sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night, and it's saying you only slept 6 hours. And I'm like, damn, I get so mad. I'm like, I know I slept 7 to 8 hours. So we have an eight sleep, which I go to that and double check that. And that says I'm getting quality sleep. So I'm like, okay. So
the 8 sleep is the cooling pad on the mattress that cools the bed down at night, and it also tracks your all your biomarkers.
I was gonna say, does it track like movements and stuff like that? Or
it does. It tracks movement and what type of sleep you're getting the entire time you're in bed.
Yeah, and during competition season, because I've been snoring, I've been banned.
I was gonna say, do you have to sleep on the couch sometimes?
Yeah, yeah,
man,
because
so
apparently I've been snoring a lot.
Well, he was
She needs that
snoring.
rest.
And I try so hard to sleep on my back. It's so important especially when you're a master's athlete, sleep on your back. Don't sleep on your side. Your shoulder will hurt when you wake up. Your back will hurt. So he was snoring and I was sleeping on this side. And I was like, why is this side hurting? And it's because I was sleeping on my side.
Thanks,
her-
Craig.
Yeah. So
And it's funny because the guy that does my massage and Maury, they noticed that. Like, what have you been doing? Like, I went and had a massage on Friday, and the guy goes, "What is wrong with your lats? Have you?" He goes, "Honestly, have you been working on your lats?" And I go, "I've been rolling it, but I haven't been putting like a lacrosse ball." I go, "Oh, it's my coach. He's giving me so much lat workout." It means I have to pay more attention to my lats. So
Yep.
Yvonne, this is your 7th CrossFit Games and your 6th time as a master's athlete. So she went in 2017 and 2018. She qualified. Well, she went in 2012 as a
12.
master and 2013 as a master. Then again at the top of her age group again, 2017, 2018, and then 2022 last year when she turned 60. And then again this year she qualified. And prior to that, Yvonne was competed on a team. And that was in the
OG
Romas.
days.
yeah. And you can see her. She's if you can see my mouse, but anyway, that's her down in the lower portion. It was 8-person teams down at Aromas at the ranch in Aromas. It was fun.
Was
as
it
hell.
a full 8-person event?
Yeah. I mean,
I think they had 6 of us working, and 2 were like we could
As
we could pick
alternates.
as alternates.
Oh yeah, you could
But
alternate.
you
in.
could sub in and out depending on the
Yeah.
event. Oh, that's
Yeah, depending on the event.
that would have been cool.
The one thing I remember about going there is that's when they changed the wall ball targets for women to 9 feet instead of 8. It was a big deal. And I remember CrossFit interviewed all of us about that. But I remember doing the wall balls, and I remember being on a slant. It was slanted this way.
because
so
of
I
the-
feel like it was more than 9 feet. I felt like it was like 9.5 feet. But I just remember that doing the wall balls, that it was really hard. Now we're doing 10 feet, 11 feet.
How much?
and with a heavier ball sometimes.
Look at this one here, by the way.
Oh,
It's
you got to
her-
show me do you have that deadlift picture of me?
I don't.
With my hair all
I could probably find it, but the
From
I
this
think-
year?
I actually do think I have that.
Nicole Carroll was judging me on this, and this is right before I went. My shoulders were hurting, and my doctor told me I had shoulder impingement. So Nicole Carroll was judging me on that. She goes, "Just jerk it." And I think I was strict pressing it
Oh,
or push
yeah,
pressing
yeah.
it. And she was saying, "Jerk it, jerk it."
Yeah, she's white lipped here, which means she's like gone to like she's into that death zone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do have the
There it is right here. It's
Yeah.
the second row, 4
Oh,
from the.
okay.
Look,
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Are your hands inside of your feet here?
I don't know,
What is
but
happening?
I remember that the deadlift weight was 125, which is super light now, but
Yeah.
I remember it like being heavy. I remember it being really heavy. We
yeah.
tried to do them all unbroken.
And do you feel like 2000? So how old were you here? This was 2008.
49,
Were you 49?
48 or 49.
Yeah, 48. Do you feel like you're fitter than you were then?
Now?
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. I'm struggling with 25 pounds. dumbbell push, strict press or push press. And now I can do a lot heavier.
And
So
so
I see you could put a
And
quantified number to
125
that.
deadlift. I mean,
Yeah.
I could rep out
Yeah, you do that in Metcons.
155.
So
Pretty
think about
easy.
that and look at her physique then, and which is really, I think this is really fascinating for masters, right? Because Yvonne and I have known each other a lot of years, I don't know, almost 40 years, but we've always been into fitness. We met in a freaking gym, and so we've always worked out. It was bodybuilding at one point.
Mhm.
I did triathlons for a while, and Yvonne did aerobics early on, and then got into weightlifting. But when she started CrossFit, she adapted really quickly. But she was doing a lot of strength training and bodybuilding training. She had a big back squat back then. But you think about that, like she was struggling with weights.
Mhm.
At 48 years old, that she'd been doing fitness. There was not there wasn't something there. And today at 61, she's stronger and moves better.
Yeah.
So in that, how many years is this? 20, I guess no, it's 12, 13 years. The progress that she's made from 40, like, I think it kind of defies what conventional wisdom is about starting late.
Yeah.
And she's starting
really
late as an athlete.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people think, well, maybe, you probably can't, if you're fit, you're not going to get much fitter. You're not going to get stronger. But again, she's still PRing.
Mm-hmm.
She's moving better. And, I think there's even things that she could probably do to get even better from here.
Yeah. That's one of the things we've been working on is, I mean, like you said, you've had a huge foundation to build upon, right? And really one of the things that we've really tried to focus on is correcting certain imbalances, just so then the performance works out better,
right? Because
there's lacking of compensations happening.
What Yvonne, knowing what you know now about, and we didn't even talk nutrition, we should get, I do want to get into nutrition a little bit too, but knowing what you know now about competing, the games and competing at the high level and training, what would you tell yourself, what would you tell that Yvonne, the 48-year-old Yvonne, to do differently, or what advice would you give that Yvonne with respect to training in the future?
I'm talking to myself now as if I was 48, you're saying?
Yeah.
So back in the day when we started CrossFit, we'd come to class and the workout of the day would be a 500-meter row, and that was it.
Yeah.
And now that's our warm up.
Yeah.
So I would probably start with a startup because I never did a startup in our gym. We didn't have startups.
Yeah.
And so I just jumped into class, and the first time I picked up a barbell, I did overhead squats. I tore my shoulder and I didn't know it.
Right.
And at that time, we didn't coach. We didn't coach proper how to pick up the barbell, and we just put it over our head. And I remember it was, I think it was, I had a 33-pound bar and I put 5s on it, and that's when I tore it. And I didn't know I tore it, and it got worse and worse and worse. And I went to see my doctor and got an MRI. He goes, you have a torn labrum and you have to get it fixed. And I'm never going to give you a cortisone shot. He goes, you are basically going to get weaker and weaker, and you're not going to be able to hold a barbell over your head. And when you're 80 years old and you don't get it fixed, you can't hold your purse. And I went to a friend's party, and her mother was standing there with her purse, and she had her arm holding her purse and her arm to her side. I go, what's wrong with your grandma? She goes, well, she tore her shoulder a long time ago, and she literally couldn't hold her purse. And I'm like, I got to get it fixed.
That's a glimpse into the future.
So in 2011, we did the Open, and Craig qualified for the games, and I missed it by a little bit. And he told me, you missed going to the games on 3 reps on the overhead squat workout, you would have made it. And I literally got on the phone and I called my doctor and I said, you have to repair my shoulder. And so I got surgery. That was the Open. I had surgery in June. And then the next February, March, I qualified for the games, and I was shocked because I'm still recovering from shoulder surgery.
Yeah.
So old Yvonne to young Yvonne, learn the movements first, do a startup, get some PTs. If you're doing crappy form, get help. That would be my advice to a 48-year-old Yvonne.
Yeah, that's good advice. So I mean, it's just that whole process of learning and becoming efficient. I think I think it's harder for athletes to come into CrossFit. People that are, and I want to say like Angela and Carrie, who are our members, and they're super fit, and they're doing Spartan races, everything else. And they came in and they are as fit, if you measure it on like a VO2 level, maybe more fit than a lot of our members
aerobically.
Yeah, aerobically. And so they want to hang with those members. And then there's a tendency to do more than they should in certain movements. And that, I think, is that self-discipline. But then it's also important, I think, for coaches and affiliate owners to recognize that and deliver to them a path. And that path is learning the proper movements that make them more efficient.
And figuring out where the deficiencies that might be holding you back from
Right.
the proper movement.
Yeah. And especially from a third person point of
Yeah.
view, like someone looking at you,
Yeah.
not just you filming yourself and going, oh, I could do this better. No, you need someone like Jamie or.
Well, like she said, like there was no real heavy, detailed instruction as far as like how, what position, what are the things to think about and focus on, what's the goal for it, and we can build it from there.
We do things like we'll get a few movements down. Like I think about muscle ups myself. Like I could do a few and in a workout, I could squeeze a few out, and then but I don't practice them. I get more efficient at them, and then they show up at the games or in competition or even qualifying, and then you get hammered.
Yeah.
Then you just get pissed off and
get
frustrated.
Exposed.
Yeah, you get exposed, and CrossFit will expose you. CrossFit exposed me this year.
I think that's the whole intention, right?
Handstand push-ups, right? What did you get exposed on?
Oh my God, the strict handstand push-ups. So CrossFit has always given us that with a 5-inch riser. And usually when I practice, Jamie programs that for me, I have a 4 to 5 inch riser, but this year it was a 2-inch riser.
Yeah.
And I tried it and I didn't get any.
So that was the quarterfinal
Finals.
workout.
That was quarterfinal.
And Yvonne's trying to make the top 30.
Mm-hmm.
And we came in, and that workout, it was an AMRAP.
It was an AMRAP starting with a handstand.
10-minute AMRAP starting with handstands, then went into box jumps, and then GHD sit-ups.
Yeah.
And she had to do six handstand push-ups.
Yes.
Strict handstand push-ups.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the workout that day too, so I'm a little bit panicked. Mine was absolutely futile, and Yvonne was there, and because I was there and I was watching her. I wasn't really helping, other than just because what could I do?
Yeah.
And she's kicking up into handstand push-up, and then she's not able to get it from that riser, and I thought, oh crap! Like Yvonne, like she killed the first workout. And then that workout, I'm like, okay, she can't take I knew she couldn't take a 0. And I knew this was an important year for her, right? Because Yvonne's got some big goals for this year. And I think I talked to Jamie or go.
I remember very vividly walking around the corner and seeing you guys.
Yes, in the corner.
And I was like, what's going on over here?
And get this. So Jamie talks to Yvonne, coaches Yvonne, and you can talk about what you did for her in a second. And then we go out on the floor, and then I see her get one, like struggle and get a couple. I'm like, okay, good. She just needs to get on the board. And then she goes out and does the workout. And how many rounds did you do?
I think I was into my third. It was trying to get through my third round of strict handstand push-ups.
Right. So she got like 14 or 16,
yeah,
like
it was like
16 strict handstand push-ups. And in the warm-up, honest to God, everyone, she could not do them. Like she could come off, she get a little motion. So what was so I was encouraged by the way, just side note on that one. I was really encouraged. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Well, if Yvonne did it and she couldn't do it,
we should have spent some time together before
I know.
You would have made it to the games.
Maybe the magic's going to happen to me. It didn't. I got 0 handstand push-ups. But anyway, what'd you do with her that got her there?
Well, first of all, I knew her capacity.
Right.
I mean, having coached you for the years that we have and what we've done in the training and just how she gives me feedback, I knew the capacity is there. And watching and observing it, this kind of comes back down to having a coach's, eye on you. You kind of see some of the small little details as far as like hand placement, right? Hand placement, body awareness, how are we staying recruited and engaged to this position so we're not going to a broken, overextended press out. And so we spent 25, 30 minutes just basically practicing and working from the negative aspect into the press, like lowering down and just working on where is that head placement? Are we going into a place that we're going to be able to press out of? Because what was happening was you would just come down a little kind of fast. And then when you went to go to press, you weren't in a position to maintain that stability through the midline to press all the way out. So we spent some time just kind of, minimizing the press out, but really focusing more on the eccentric component to get into position where we're not going down too slow and using up too much energy.
Right.
And at the same time, really kind of dialing in that engagement. So when she went to press out, she wouldn't come out off the wall. because she would press out and then that
Yes,
broken,
come off,
that
yeah.
broken midline, she'd
right.
fall off the wall and that would be a no rep. So we kind of really honed in on that. And as we were going through the workout, I would give her that cue, like, hey, feet together. And that brought everything else back together.
Right.
Feet together and squeeze your butt. It's
Yeah.
always about squeezing your butt.
Yeah.
I can't say that enough. Like
Yeah.
that engaging your pelvic floor is kind of like the foundation to engaging the rest of your core.
We had a gymnastics coach here that he just like he criticized everybody for not, and he says as we get older as adults, kids are better at it, and adults.
Well, I have a theory on that.
Yeah,
we spend so much fucking time in a
seated
position, whether you're in classroom as a student, whether you're driving and commuting to your office where you're going to be sitting in a desk for so long. And when your hip flexors become so tight and formed to that shape, you're going to lose engagement. It's like the whole pulley system, right? It's all length and tension. And if you've got too much tension in the anterior part, like the hip flexors, that posterior part's going to have too much length.
The other thing too is the mental awareness. It's hard to, and I know for me, it's hard to think, how is squeezing my butt going to help me get a kipping pull up? Like, hey, I know I got a kip, but how is staying tight through the core going to help me do better at butterfly pulls? How is squeezing through the core going to help me do better at double unders? Like, what? Come on. But as soon as I start to relax and get a little lazy, like we did crossovers on Sunday, as soon as I relaxed and got lazy through the core, boom, I started missing. And then as soon as I thought about it, re-engage and jump higher, boom, nailed them. It's really interesting to think about, like with a handstand push up. And Yvonne, you could tell like a light went on. I saw it in the workout, like a light went on for her. Like all of a sudden, boom, she knew she had it. Like her confidence went up. She physics, and it's not like getting a lift. It's like getting double unders. Yeah. Where you get once she got the feel for it, she's like, oh, she knew what to turn on and do. And then
it's almost like it's like the difference between a physiological and neurological adaptation, right? The physiological is like, do you have the ability, like the strength to actually engage? And then the neurological is like remembering to do that, right? Putting body, mind coordination together to tie it together.
It was it was pretty awesome.
It was cool.
In the a couple more workout things I wanted to talk about in this podcast, and we're gonna go a little bit long, people, but because I do want to talk about the nutrition stuff too. But a couple of workout moments that were interesting for Yvonne. One was the last workout in the semifinals. So it goes from 30 athletes, and then you're competing against 30 athletes down to the final 10. And these 30 athletes that you're competing
are legit
they're legit, right? Those ladies, Yvonne's competed with them for years, probably almost all 30 of them, and she knows they're legit.
And it's 30 in the world.
Yeah, that's right. It's 30 in the world.
It's not just in the States. It's not in California. It's worldwide.
And that was the point I wanted to make earlier that I forgot, is that those 30 women are doing what Yvonne's doing. Yeah. They're not going to class and just happen to be fit. Yeah. Like back in the day when I was competing in at the higher levels, where we were playing hard, training hard, and then working on our weaknesses. But we weren't doing the nutrition. We weren't focusing, on taking genuine rest days. We weren't doing the mobility recovery. It just wasn't as significant as it is now. These guys all have private coaches. They're all getting dedicated coaches. It's legit. And so in that, her last workout, we knew it had
to be
semi
workout.
Yeah, the last semifinal workout to qualify to go to the games. We knew that she had to do a pretty damn good job because of where her ranking was. And primarily because of you had to do a handstand hold,
damn
right?
Good job just in general because top 10.
Top 10, but also we knew the handstand hold was going to hurt her. Yeah. She did a good job on the first part of that workout, which clean deadlifts or deadlifts, cleans, and then shouldered over. We knew she was going to have a pretty decent score there. Yeah, but we were worried about how that handstand hold was going to punish her, so we knew she had to crush that last workout. And that last workout started out with 20 burpee box jump overs, which are just I just freaking hate those things.
It's a nice little warm up.
Yeah, but the men got the 20-inch box.
In the 60 plus the men got to, so it's the same height box Yvonne. Yeah. So she does those, and then you go into goblet hold step ups with a kettlebell. It's first time
35-pound kettlebell too.
Yeah, first time kettlebell been used in this level of competition. She's holding that kettlebell up, and Alessandra did it She did it with a 53-pound kettlebell, and she said it was awkward and really demanding, way more demanding. Cole did it too. One of our RX Plus athletes did it. So Alessandra Pacelli did it, and she said it was brutal.
Yeah.
And then we had Gwen do it too, and Gwen was like, "Holy crap!" Because you can't. It's not like a dumbbell where a dumbbell
you're constantly under tension.
Yeah, you're constantly under tension. So she did that. You do 20 of those, and then when you're done with those, you go do 2 rope climbs. Come back, and you
2 rounds of that.
Yeah, you do 2 rounds of that combination where it's the goblet step ups and then the rope climbs. Then it switches to goblet squats. And it's 20 goblet squats, which go a little faster.
A little easier, right?
Yeah, a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And then she has to do
legless
rope climbs, 2 legless rope climbs to a 12-foot target.
And then 2 rounds of that.
She got 1 legless rope climb, came down, and then she was feeling really good, and she super confident. And she went up, and
she knew what she had to do. And she had to get
Jamie Lee's her coach, but he was also her judge, and he's a hard ass as a judge. Because I was filming and Kim was back there with me. We were like, I look good to us. And he repped her on the second rope climb. Yeah. And then she wanted to hurry up and get it done. And she kept trying. And she timed out. That had a 20-minute time, 15-minute time.
15-minute cap.
15
you took what, like 4 or 5 attempts on that?
Yes.
That
was it? I felt like it was like 10 because I was bleeding.
Oh yeah.
You slid down the rope, and as you're sliding down the rope, I'm just.
And I could see that we could see I'd kiss Jamie's eye, and then I'd look at Yvonne, and I just saw the look on her face. I know the look on her face she was mad as hell, but also like really deeply devastated. Like she was really upset because she knew possibly that her trip to the games was over as a result of that. And so, by the way, this was Sunday. The workout's due. The score is due.
You started this event at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, 11 o'clock. And the workout's due by noon. She had to submit her score by noon.
Yeah.
So that she was done at 11:15. We called it. And we didn't kind of know what to do. Like, I didn't even think about redoing. I was just like, okay, maybe we just take a chance, right? And submit that score. And then I look up at the clock. I'm like, well, wait a minute. She can rest 15, 20 minutes and give it another attempt. And since she has a big goal this year of making it to the games and doing really well at the games, she wants this to be her best performance ever at the games. I figured if that's her goal, she has to redo it.
Yeah.
Like you got to at least try, and then you can always call it part way if she's dying.
The penalty for error of redoing it is nothing.
Right. Now, if you put me in her shoes and you'd come up to me and said, hey, you need to redo this, I'd like, nope, I'm going to take a chance with the score I got.
I'm done. Fuck this. I'm out. I quit CrossFit.
But Yvonne's not that type of person. She just like, and when Jamie Lee says, again, he's, as her coach, like, he goes, you got to redo it. She's like, okay, I'll redo it. And she waited.
With no question.
Not even not a hesitation. Because I think in her mind too, you felt like you could do it, right?
Yeah, I felt like, I kept questioning, am I just fatter this year? I'm like, because last year was so light, and I'm like, I did 8 rope legless last year, and I'm like, what is going on? And I realized what was going on, and halfway through the redo, is that the holding that kettlebell taxed your lats really bad, and that was not a sprint workout. Like and I felt like, we're looking at it, you're thinking, I'm going to do everything, I'm broken.
Yeah.
And it was not about sprinting. It was being able just to do the legless rope climbs. And I don't think I've ever done 2 in a row. And I should have rested longer. It was not about a sprint. It was just doing the workout. And then I also thought, well, maybe I should have did that one first before the event 3. Then you do these things and you learn, and that's how you become a better athlete.
I think one of the biggest things that we learned in that scenario too was we switched ropes.
Yes.
So the original, like last year, you smashed the legless rope climb in this one rope climb station, and I mean, we're 12 different ropes removed from that particular rope that year, just because we rotate them, and we've been going through ropes a lot lately, and I think that rope was a relatively new one.
Yeah, and the newer ropes, when you get new climbing ropes, they're
they're a little wound up.
Yeah, they're wound up, and there's a little bit slicker.
Yeah.
And so when an athlete gets on them, they stretch.
Yes.
And the difficulty with that is when it stretches, you twist, because as a rope stretches, it turns. And so she's moving. Yeah.
But also what I noticed just from watching on the second round when you redid it, the first one, every time she would kip and pull, it was like your hand was like just hand over hand.
Yes.
But when she went to the older rope that was a little bit more used and stretched out, your pulls were like
she'd grab it much higher,
times more efficient.
Yeah.
So just with that in mind, you know, like you said, we're always constant learning in these scenarios, as you know.
And older,
know exactly where you're gonna
older
go.
rope.
An older used rope is better.
Yeah.
I watched Alessandra do it, though. To Yvonne's point, I watched Alessandra do it the day before, and she was taking long breaks between the
rope climbs.
Yeah, the rope climbs. And Beth Stankovic, who's on our team this year, she said to me, "Wow, Yvonne went faster on that second rope climb than I would have." You know, Beth's a 33-year-old athlete. She's a badass. But anyway, so she redid it, and you know, if you couldn't tell, she did better. She was slower, which Kim and I, we were watching the cameras, and we were a little bit worried about that.
Yeah.
That because she was slower, like, oh no,
slower tie break time.
Yeah, slower tie break time.
Yeah.
But when she did her regular rope climbs, I'm like, ooh,
her first legless rope climb was like, oh, okay, here we go.
She did her first
We're back at it.
Right, you're back at it. And she got through that one. Then she got back through then she did the goblet squats.
Goblets, yeah.
And then she went back up and got a third rope climb. And then that was her score, but significantly better score because she got the 20 goblet squats plus 2 extra rope climbs in her score. And then she saved herself from a lot of damage in the scoring system.
Yeah. And I mean, that's just a huge testament to you and just being able to overcome adversity like that. And, you know, when we go into the games, there's so much stuff that's outside of our control. I mean, having experienced it last year and previous years, but like having that stuff out of your control and being able to go out and redo it 15 minutes after doing it the first time.
And so then part 2
is truly inspiring.
The part that a lot of people don't know on the podcast is Yvonne also saw on, I don't know what, it was like Monday morning or Tuesday morning, she got an email saying, with a video for the that was a quarter.
So this year was all about redos.
Yeah.
I had to redo an open workout because talking about strict handstand push-ups and handstand push-ups, you have to find the right mat or floor to do it. Like I realized that when I was doing the open workout with the handstand push-ups, I'm like, what is wrong with me? And I realized I used a different mat and it's too squishy. I got to have something just stiff, but protect my head a little bit. And they always say, you know, as you get older, maybe you should do something more squishy, but that's not the case for me. So I redid that open workout, and my coach Jamie tells me, you don't need to redo it. You're gonna be top 10%. But I was so mad, I had to redo that open work, and I smashed that workout.
Yeah.
And then in the quarterfinals, I forgot to measure my bench press weight, which was 95 pounds.
You forgot to show it in
the video. I forgot to show it in the video. It was funny because my 5-pound plates were turned the other way. And I said, well, I'll just turn it around when I film it. And I totally forgot.
Yeah.
So I got an email from CrossFit saying that you have to submit a video showing the weight of the bench press. And I read it about 10 times. And redid the workout, and I had submitted another video of me showing the capacity that I could do that workout from the score that I submitted in the quarterfinal.
Yeah.
So
and she actually did.
She went faster.
Of course, I did better because it's I'm fresh.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to do 3 workouts in 48 hours for that, so I knew I'd probably do better on that one.
And from then on, we've stuck with 2 cameras.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. From that point. Yeah. So if you're a masters athlete and you're competing in quarterfinals, have 2 cameras. Yeah. I listen to that poor team.
If you're any athlete that's trying to compete,
it is.
Games,
but newer athletes like that poor team that came to our competition. You know, she got from CrossFit Pleasanton. She used WOD proof. She would have she used WOD proof, and it video hiccuped.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so she submitted the video, and it had and it was WOD proof, admitted that they had an issue. James Newberry had the same issue. and they declined her
She
video.
got the same
she got
email.
and she got the same email of CrossFit saying submit a video within 24 hours. Well, her mom interpreted that as
That same video.
find that same video, the version of the same video, instead of redoing the workout. So they didn't submit a new video within 24 hours, and she didn't make the semifinals.
And we knew that because Payam had the same
with Payam, right?
situation
That's what I thought. I'm like, always go by what you feel in your heart. Like they're basically telling me to redo the workout, but they're not saying it. So in my heart, I'm like, they're telling me to redo the workout.
Yes.
And same thing with Payam, what Payam experienced. I'm like, they're just they want me to show that I could do the capacity of that.
Yeah, with all the official measurements and all the official.
So there's no question around it at all.
Yeah. The last thing I wanted to talk about, because Yvonne is a huge disciplinarian and she is the Howard family chef. But she's a huge disciplinarian with her nutrition or diet. What do you think about when you're quote meal prepping for the week? What are you thinking about in terms of do you have like guidelines for your own protein intake and carbohydrate intake, or are you just kind of winging it?
I'm kind of winging it. The only thing is I try to not eat a lot of meat. I won't eat 7 days of meat. I'll eat 2 days of meat and 1 chicken turkey, because a couple of years ago I had some stomach pain and I went to the hospital and they told me I have sludge in my gallbladder, and they just said it's from a lot of fat.
Yeah.
So I had to cut back on my nut butters and I just cut back on my red meat. So I just try to have a little bit more chicken, and we're actually eating salmon now, which I never used to like fish, but I'm enjoying eating salmon. So that's when I do my meal prep, is in the morning. I'm too tired at night to cook. So I do all my meal preps in the morning, and I try to make 8 to 10 meals. So it lasts. So we have meals for 2 days. And literally, like today, I'm already thinking about what I'm going to be eating on Thursday. So I'm 4 days ahead when I meal plan. I try to have I always have meat in the fridge. I don't like frozen meat. I don't like that. I like fresh meat. I try to buy grass fed or organic. And I blame this on Craig, because his doctors wanted to put him on statins when we first started CrossFit. So we went 100% paleo. I lost a ton of weight.
Yeah.
All the gains.
A ton of weight. And then I was bonking on my workouts. And so I realized I got to add carbs. So I can have a little bit of white rice, and I have sweet potatoes every single day in the morning in my oatmeal. And I'm eating oatmeal. I never used to eat oatmeal, but my problem is I don't want to eat. I'm like, I'm not a big eater, but I've learned that I have to eat, because when I eat the next day, I feel amazing.
How much protein do you supplement with on a daily basis? So it's protein supplements.
So I have a scoop of whey protein in the morning with my oatmeal. And then if I have a double day and I feel like I'm like that workout kicked my ass, I'll have another scoop of protein right after.
So 20 to 40 grams of protein.
And then I have, so that the oatmeal sweet potato thing I have in the morning. And then I come to the gym and I like to train at 1 o'clock, but I can't eat a big lunch. So I'll have a peanut butter sandwich, a gluten-free peanut butter. I find that I can eat that. I can train with that. And it doesn't upset, I don't feel like I'm bloated. And then I'll have my lunch right after I work out, and then I'll have a dinner. I try to have my dinner before 8 p.m. I feel like if I eat past 8 p.m., in my whoop, I don't recover as well. And I think because I'm sleeping, I'm digesting my food instead of recovering.
Yeah.
And vegetables. I notice if I eat a whole bag of vegetables, the next day I feel amazing.
So how much of this carries over and is consistent when you are in competition?
This is everything to me. If I have one thing that's bad, I bonk. Like I know my body. If I go to a restaurant,
like going to
I
barbecue.
literally like going to a barbecue and not
Yeah.
knowing what the food, I could feel it. Like I think the restaurant we went to, I think when I have MSG, I feel like I smoked a joint. I feel like, I'm like spacey, and I felt like crap when I ate when we had that barbecue, and I bonked on a workout the next day. So I like to eat my own food, or if we go to dinner or we go to breakfast, I go to the same place because I know it's going to make me feel okay.
And we have about 3 restaurants that we eat at. Fortunately, like two of them are like Rome Burger and The Habit.
Yeah.
Because those are both clean. And she has,
Yeah.
and it's not like going to Rome Burger or The Habit and getting like a burger. Yvonne goes to Rome Burger and gets the market salad, and then gets the patty on the top with no bread. So
well, it's good to kind of work out a lot of that stuff in detail before game time.
Yeah, she's very, very disciplined, and as a result, I ride the wake. So people go, "Yeah, you eat clean." Yeah, I eat clean. Hell yeah. It's only because that's all there is.
You have no other options.
Well,
Yeah.
I mentioned to you about I say it was Craig's fault because we ate paleo. So and then he didn't have to take the stand, so we kind of went back to eating a little other stuff, and I felt it. Like I feel like because I ate so clean, my body will not take any crap anymore.
Yeah. That is one thing I notice about aging. That is, maybe it's a benefit, and maybe that's definitely something I would have told my younger self, is to eat better. But as you age, you just can't. And if you're able to eat terrible food, it's because you've conditioned your body to get there. Because once you start eating clean when you're older, if you don't, man, like instantly, Yvonne says, like, I don't sleep as well.
Yeah.
You know, or I feel it. I feel it in Metcon, like especially Metcons. Lifting, maybe not so much, but Metcons, you get halfway through Metcon, you just like, oh, and then you instantly start thinking, what did I have to eat yesterday? Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Well, being, a high performance athlete, it's like you have to acknowledge when something's off, and it's important. Somebody that's not training or competing at that level probably doesn't care, and that's why they eat crap.
That's right. Well, cool. This was a good discussion. Jamie, do you have any other questions?
Are you ready for the next few months of
getting
your ass kicked?
Yeah.
I'm ready. My body's feeling good. I'm not a big fan of running and swimming, but I will do it if I have to.
It was one of those things that we figured last year was kind of the big hole. So we're going to fix that.
Cool. Well, good. Well, we're looking forward to watching you compete.
Cool.
I'm driving out to Lana and I are driving out. We meet her
base camp
for her, because she likes to have all her own kind of stuff in her own place, and being able to camp with an RV at the games is huge as an athlete.
Nice.
It's so nice because you're right there. You don't have to worry about driving. You just jump on your bike, you go to the event. It actually makes it a cool experience in addition to making it convenient.
Yeah.
So that's fun. We're looking forward to that.
Yeah, definitely excited.
Hopefully we have a team that's going with me.
Yeah. Yvonne doesn't like, it was Yvonne and Sandy for a while. And then Sandy retired.
All eyes on you now.
Yeah. Right on.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, honey, for doing this finally. All right. Bye, you guys.
See ya.